So one of the things that I came up with years ago as a concept, it's what I call belief ambiguity. Now, what I mean by that, this is a term I came up with for myself. I've never heard anybody else use this term before. But what it is the same belief covers two different things. That's kind of how I look at it. So, for example, if I show you a picture of that Alsatian dog again, right? And I say, how would you describe this picture? And one person might say, oh, it's an Alsatian dog. Another person might say, oh, it's a big dog. Another person might say, oh, it's a German Shepherd. Well, it's really the same dog, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the language is different. So that thing that you described, the 30-day meditation, right? So what I put in there is this idea that, okay, you're in the future, right? You're imagining you have achieved your goal, and you touch your fingers together and you say, I can feel this now. That's that ambiguity. Because what are you feeling? Are you feeling your fingers? Or are you feeling the reality of your goal?
I think you feel the reality of your goal.
That's
I mean,
the idea, right?
It's a hook to that. You're linking to that, but that's all
That's
that
right.
is. It's just a tool to link to that moment.
But when you first do it, you don't believe it, right?
Right.
But you believe you're touching your fingers because you can feel it.
Hmm.
So you say to yourself, okay, I can feel this now. And your mind kind of goes, feel what? Feel your fingers or feel the reality of your goal? What is it? And your mind will get a little confused and it'll start to believe both. Well, when it believes both, then that's it. That's what you're after. You're after being able to imagine the future that you want and believe that you've done it. That's like 100% certainty. That's what that little trick with the fingers is for, right? Like, I believe this. I can feel this now. I can feel myself now. Feel yourself what? Rubbing your fingers or experiencing the goal? There's the ambiguity, right? Same words. They cover two different situations. So the touching your fingers to me was a trick to get you to feel the reality of your future goal, right? For example, if you're wanting to lose weight, imagine yourself at the ideal weight, So you can say, okay, here I am. It's sometime in the future. I'm standing on the scale. I look down at the scale. I can see my weight is exactly the weight I want, right? That's the future I want, that particular one. Of all the possible, futures, 70 pounds, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, I'm going to choose this one. So I'm going to go there in my mind, and then, is it real or is it not real? Well, touch your fingers and say, okay, I can feel it now. I can feel the reality of this now, right? And your mind goes, okay, the fingers, yes. The weight, no. The fingers, yes. Weight, no. No. Weight, yes. Okay. So you sort of get to the place where you feel, okay, this is me. This is my future me. This is me at this place, right? So that, to me, that's the secret. That is it in a nutshell, right? And in the past, we didn't have this language to be able to describe that. Like, people would say things like, oh, I just use my intuition. Well, what's that? That doesn't help you. That's like saying, oh, it's an animal. I have a picture here. What is it? Oh, it's an animal. Okay. Well, how long is it going to take you to figure out it's an Alsatian dog? You might say, is it a worm? Does it slither? Does it have legs? Does it have hair? Does it have feathers? I mean, there's 10,000 different animals that you could be holding a picture of, right? But only one of them is going to be that Alsatian dog. So it's the same thing when you look in the future. There's so many possibilities that it's hard to sort of number one, it's hard to pick one, but when you pick it, that's your goal. And then you go there in your mind and you go, okay, here I am. I'm here now. I'm at this perfect weight, and clothes and everything else is all perfectly coherent. And then if you do that every day, what happens, and what's happened to me, and you've probably experienced this too, is you find yourself thinking, yeah, but what if somebody offers me a piece of cake, because I love cake. And my mother told me it's rude to say no. So when somebody offers me a piece of cake, I always have to eat it because otherwise I'll be rude. Right? That's the kind of thing that comes up,
Sure.
So you say, well, yeah, but from this perspective now, being this person, slim, this weight, feeling like this, if that happens, I just tell people, oh, thanks, I don't want any cake right now. And it's perfectly fine for me to do that. It doesn't mean I'm a bad person because I've changed the meaning of that, It's not rude, it's just me telling my truth, right? Or like I said before, take a half a teaspoon. Oh, delicious cake. So you have a different strategy for dealing with those things because all our choices, after a while, they all become unconscious, right? And we find ourselves doing things. Like when I have a real sweet tooth, and so I don't like to consciously eat things that are sweet, like cake or cookies or those kind of things. But occasionally I get into it, right? And I find myself justifying it sometimes by saying things like, well, I'll just take one. It's like, oh, it's okay if I just take one then, Or other times I find myself thinking, well, nobody's going to know if I do this. Right? Well, that's a stupid thought. Like, who cares? But for me, I probably learned that when I was 5. My mother would say, hey, don't eat any of those cookies. And I'd probably say, well, if she doesn't know, it's okay, right? If I take one, but she doesn't know that I've taken it, then I'm not gonna get in trouble. So it's like if somebody else doesn't know, then it doesn't count. Well, that's silly when you're talking about food, right? But I think a lot of us do that. We'll sit at night lonely, we'll sit in front of the TV and we'll eat a gallon of ice cream because nobody knows. Nobody knows we're doing it, right? Yeah, so that future.
Well,
so,
can I interject something there?
Yeah,
along that line?
I'm just going to say one more thing,
Okay.
just to sort of make my point here. So the point of this map of space-time, this thing here that I was, I'll share it again here. So the value of the map is that now we can visualize what we're doing, right? We have a way to see what we're thinking about. And to me, that's the most valuable part, because the descriptions that people used to use before, they would say things like, well, you just do it. You want to lose weight, you just do it. You want to quit smoking, just do it. I quit. I just did it. How did you do it? I just decided to quit. Yeah, but I decided and I didn't quit. So what else did you do? You know what I mean? Like people's descriptions, they don't help you. But this idea of future self, get into the future self, be your future self now, make a decision from the future self. And I think what happens is over time, that neural connection in your brain, that pathway, it gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And then next thing you know, you're at that perfect weight or you're at the perfect goal. You've achieved your goal and you kind of go, oh, hey, this is it. I'm here,
Yep.
Great.
Well, I think that, one of the things that happens is we have the inner mind, we have the outer mind, we have the decisions we make, we have the interest we have. And over time, it starts corralling us into this future person. I was just in that, I was saying that group that I work out with now, and we're working out, and it's been about 2.5 months or something like that, that I've been working out with these guys. But one of the guys was sitting over this morning. His feet, there's his feet on the scale. Here's him before and after, and he's doing a little fast. And he's got his weights and stuff like that. But he looks great.
Yeah.
And but the point is, he has a different belief system kind of in his world and his day. That's what he's doing on a Saturday or a Thursday or Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
Where in my mind, there's also the possibility of me being the guy who's eating the cake at night, or eating the thing. And I have these two belief systems that are right there in front of you.
Yeah.
One's virtual, the other one's real. And as you start to hang out with the guys that are doing a little bit more of the healthy behavior, it starts to make this one fall away a little bit. It's not so real anymore. It's not as important. It's starting to become equal. It's like, okay, half of my thoughts are really good thoughts, or half of my thoughts. And you say, well, that was just luck that you ended up in that group. Like, well, no, that's not luck that I ended up in that group. I ended up in that group because I had this goal and I'm working towards it. And I'll be damned if I'm not going to get it. I'm going to get it. It only takes once to get to change the future me. So you keep stepping into your future, looking at it, and that's maybe a virtual inner exercise. But you can also have them externally. I didn't mean to replace friend groups, but inadvertently that kind of happens with time, right? You're now spending an hour with these people that you weren't spending with. Their ideas and their beliefs start to rub off on you. Oh, maybe that's a good way to think about it. You hear their politics, you hear their religion, you hear their whole system of operating in life, right? And it starts to drift a little towards it. Doesn't mean the people that I go out and eat pizza with every once in a while that love to eat a lot of pizza are bad people. It's just they're living with a different kind of belief focus sometimes. And so you start shifting the way you have fun, the things you enjoy, who you are through this model. And it appears to be random, but it's not. It's that yes, no, heads, tails, right?
Well, it's unconscious after a while, right?
You're remapping it.
I mean, for me, the simplest example that I always fall back on is your dialect. Like when you were born, you didn't speak this way. You learned to speak this way. You learned to have this accent, right? To pronounce these words with this particular accent that we call your accent, or your idiolect, they call it, right?
Right.
It's your unique way of speaking. Well, obviously, each of those things comes down to a decision that you made when you were young. You moved your tongue and your lips and your throat in a certain way, and you made a sound, and you copied your parents. That's generally what happens, But it's completely unconscious. You just speak the way you speak, and you think, oh, this is my voice. But you developed the voice. The same as you developed your thought patterns, right? For more information about this online community, to get your own copy of the book upon which this entire training series is based, either the ebook, the paperback, or the audiobook, go to mindtimeandpower.com, where you can also get a free copy of this Design Your Life workbook.